We're following this breaking news for you. Congress introducing a resolution to impeach IRS Commissioner John Koskinen. He's accused of making false statements under oath and failing to comply with subpoenas for evidence. And joining me now is Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters. He's a strategic analyst on the military and government issues with Fox News. Mr. Lieutenant Colonel, what did you make of this news?
Well, the entire thing has been so despicably third world. I mean, it really shouldn't be Republican or Democrat. It's better than this. You know, Liz, I come from an old Soviet studies background, and this using the government's instruments, various instruments, to go after political opponents, it brings back really bad memories for me. So it's sad that Lois Lerner got off, but I think if they can make it painful for Koskinen, he's earned it.
Hey, Lieutenant Colonel, I want your reaction to this, too. The IRS is represented by a major union. It's called the National Treasury Employees Union. Right around the time of when the Democrats had historic losses in the midterm elections, the head of that union, Colleen Kelly, visited the White House. We don't know who she talked to, but the visitor's log showed that she went to the White House in late March of 2010, and that's when it appeared after that the targeting of conservative and Tea Party groups started to unfold after that, along with the Democratic senators and congressmen in the House pressuring the IRS to do just that, to basically look into Tea Party and conservative group applications for nonprofit status. What do you make of all of that information?
Well, first of all, in addition to being incompetent, this has been a woefully corrupt administration in so many ways that we cannot even count them all yet. Historians will be unpacking it for many years to come. But it's an interesting thing for unions. I come from a coal mining background. There was a time when unions were critical for fair treatment of the worker, for fair wages in this country. But things run their course, and as unions have had to protect bad workers, promise more and more, for the most part, unions have outlived their usefulness, and they are a burden on society. There are exceptions, police unions, firemen's unions. They're very important still. But most of them, I mean, they destroyed Detroit, and they're now the last bastion, the last great bastion of foul unionism, of dangerous and destructive unionism, is the federal government. I work even as a soldier working in the Pentagon. It was impossible to fire incompetent civilians.
Right. Do you think the IRS itself should have a union?
Well, I'm just not in favor of unions for government workers. Just as, in the military you can't have a union, of course not. And, we have plenty of protections. We're not out to witch hunt people, except for this particular administration. So I really think we're never going to change it because unions are too deeply embedded. But in the federal workforce, unions, they harm the really top performers and they protect the absolutely dreadful
Stay with me on this. This National Treasury Employees Union, also the head of it actively campaigned and put out a statement in support of the re-election of President Barack Obama. And that National Treasury Employees Union that represents the IRS raised nearly $600,000 for the Democratic Party at that point. What do you make of that?
Well, non-governmental unions, of course, have always been involved in politics, and primarily Democratic politics. But it goes back to the need for a government to be impartial. And, the Democrats who aren't on board with going after this investigation, they should remember that the tools they use against Republicans can be used against them. We don't want to get on that downward spiral. I mean, we've lost so much in this country. Right now we see police being blamed for trying to do their duties. We're losing ethics. We're losing values. It's become such an us against them. And this unionization of an organization like the IRS is a terrible mistake.
Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, thank you so much for your insights and your time. Thanks for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it.